So I noticed there were a lot of people looking for easy chicken wire patterns. So I thought I'd do a quick video about these extended width patterns by Sweet Dreams Quilt Studio. She has a fantastic collection of chicken wire patterns, and I've never seen a chicken wire that was easier to set up than this one. So what I like about these extended width patterns is that you really only have to set for how many rows you want to do. You don't have to set up the repeats at all. And they just go on very easy. This particular one um, doesn't require any vertical spacing, so it just sets itself up. Um, so let me try to put this in repeat patterns, and I'll show you how this works. Um, by the way, you can set this up in repeat patterns, or you can use edge to edge, whichever one you prefer. But when you're talking about a pattern that has to stitch off the edge of the quilt, I think I would kind of lean a little bit more towards repeat patterns because you would have the option to do a fill inside. So let's take a look at what this is going to look like when we set this up. So I have the extra small selected. This is, generally speaking, when you're talking about the extended width patterns, the extra small comes in at about 40 inches wide, and there's usually five different sizes, I think, are available. You can get the extra small at 40 inch, a small at 60 inch, a medium at 80 inch, large at 100, and extra large is 120. Okay, so not only are there different sizes to choose from by way of width of these patterns, but you also get to choose the scale of your chicken wire. So taking a look down here at the bottom, you can see all of these that I have on the screen right now are the extra small. And that would be the 40-inch width, okay? So this one down at the bottom is a 1-inch scale chicken wire. Then this one is a 1.5-inch, and then a 2-inch, a 2.5-inch, and a 3-inch. So depending on the project that you're working on, you can select whichever scale of chicken wire is most appropriate for what you're working on. So what you do with these is you don't have to set up for the width of the quilt at all. You just simply select the one pattern that is closest to the width of your quilt. So I have a boundary set up on my screen at 40 inches by 20 inches. So for that, I have selected the extra small, easy chicken wire. Okay, so I have that selected. I'm going to go to repeat patterns, and I'm just going to click in the upper corner here, and that puts in our first repeat. Okay, now let's say let's see here, we are at 6.62 inches wide. We want to lock the aspect ratio on this so that it doesn't stretch or it doesn't distort at all. This pattern is very specific with its hexagonal shape. So you're going to want to make sure that you have this locked so that it doesn't skew or stretch the pattern whatsoever. Okay, now I'm going to close this so we've got a little bit more room to work. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select how many rows I want to put in here. And let's see here. We're going to go to, let's say my quilt is going to be 40 inches by 40 inches, okay? This is pretty darn close at 39.72, so I'll call that a win. And so what I want you guys to see about this is This is where the pattern is here. But what makes this so easy to set up is that these patterns don't touch at all. So you really don't have a whole lot of lining up to do. There's no vertical spacing required whatsoever. So you just simply set it up, and that's it. Okay, so let's say that the pattern that you select is a little bit wider than what your actual quilt top is. Let's select this one, which is the small. Okay, so that one is going to be a little bit wider. Okay, so let's say that your quilt is 50 inches wide, maybe a 50 by 50. And so there isn't a 50-inch pattern. Let me show you how this goes, okay? So I have my chicken wire easy edge to edge 3-inch small selected, okay? I'm going to select reheat patterns, and I'm going to click in the upper corner here, and that sets up that pattern. Now, I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to go ahead and lock this aspect ratio now so that it doesn't get the chance to stretch at all. Now you can see this pattern is going to go off of the edges, and that's okay. So let's go ahead and add in our rows. We're going to assume, let's say that our quilt is 50 by 50, okay? So let's see here. If I take one away, that gives me 49.7. Maybe we'll go ahead and leave that last one on. Okay, so now I have this set up, and you can see it's going off of the edges here. So I'm going to click OK. And now I'm going to select these patterns, and I'm going to move them over just slightly so that this pattern is going to fall off of the edge here. Let me zoom back in a little bit. See how we have this line here that runs down this side? You want to make sure that that falls off the quilt. You don't want that stitching on the quilt. And then on this side over here, you can see we've got a considerable amount of pattern that is going to stitch off the edge. So what I want to do, I'm looking at this, and these two patterns both fall within that within the boundary of my quilt. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to do fill inside. Okay. And here you can do fill inside. All right, so there you go. And that fills it in. And again, what is so easy about this chicken wire is that they don't have to touch. So you've just got this perfect spacing between each one, and it works out really nice. So if you're going to do fill inside, I should have said this a minute ago, but if you're going to do fill inside, you want to make sure that that boundary that you mark around your quilt top, you want to make sure that's at least a ½ inch off your quilt on all sides. That way, when it's doing that fill, it's not filling on your quilt top. You want that that overstitching that it's going to have, you want that to fall on the outside, or you want it to fall off the edge of the quilt. And so then, of course, you'll just roll as usual and fill each row. And if you don't like using fill, that's okay. You can do a trim if you would rather do a trim, or you can simply let it stitch off the edge of the quilt, whichever you prefer. So that's it. That's my my take on easy chicken wire. So I hope you guys found this useful.